You're at a dinner party. Someone asks what you earn. You say the number out loud, and you watch their face do the maths. Their eyebrows lift. Oh, that's really good money. And you smile and you nod, and inside you're thinking, then why does it never feel like it? You've had this conversation before, maybe not at a dinner party. Maybe it was a phone call with a recruiter reading out a job offer. Maybe it was your mom asking how you're getting on, and you told her the number, and she went quiet. In that way, that means she's impressed. Everyone hears the number and assumes the number is the whole story. It never is. This is not a story about not earning enough. This is a story about where your money actually goes before you ever get a say in the matter. Because there is a number that almost nobody in Britain has ever sat down and calculated for themselves. It isn't hiding. It isn't a secret. It's sitting right there on your payslip and your bank statement in plain sight, and yet almost no one has ever added it all up in one place. Once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That number is roughly 60%. £6 out of every 10 you earn, gone, spoken for, committed, before you have made a single discretionary choice about your own life. Not spent on a takeaway, not spent on a holiday. Gone before the choosing even starts. Here is the harsh truth nobody says out loud at that dinner party. According to Money Supermarket's Household Money Index, the average UK household now spends over £1,400 a month just on essential bills. Real families, tracked in that same report, were found spending 63%, even 66% of their income, simply keeping the lights on and the roof over their heads. The popular 50-30-20 budgeting rule, the one every money app and every financial advisor quotes, assumes half your take-home pay goes on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% into savings. For a huge number of ordinary British earners, the real figure spent on needs alone is far higher than that neat little 50. This is not a fringe problem. This is not bad money management. This is the median experience. And it isn't only the low earners either. This isn't a story about poverty. It cuts straight through the middle of the country, through people with decent jobs, mortgages, season tickets, people who by any normal measure are doing fine. That's what makes it so unsettling. This isn't a story about people who can't manage money. It's a story about a system where the managing was never really the point because most of the decisions were already made for you weeks before your card ever leaves your pocket. So let's do what almost nobody actually sits down and does. Let's follow one single pound, from the moment it's earned to the moment it's finally, truly yours to choose what happens to it. Take the UK's median full-time salary, £39,000 a year. That's £3,250 a month gross. That is the number on your contract. That is the number you say out loud at the dinner party, but it is not the number that actually exists in the world. It never was. Before that money is even legally called yours, the government takes its share, automatically, silently, through the payroll system, before it ever touches your account. Income tax, 20% on everything above your £12,570 tax-free personal allowance, comes to roughly £441 a month. National insurance, 8% on your earnings above that same threshold, takes another £176. Then your workplace pension, auto-enrolled at the standard minimum of 5%, quietly lifts £163 straight off the top, before you've even opened the Payslip email. Added up, £780 gone in total, close to a quarter of your gross pay, vanished before the money has technically arrived in your life at all. What actually lands in your account is £2,470 a month. This is the number most people quietly believe is their real salary. It isn't. It's just the first filter, the government's cut, done, and dusted before breakfast. Now the second wave begins, and this is the part nobody warns you about because it doesn't feel like tax. It feels like ordinary life. Rent or a mortgage, call it £950 for a perfectly average home outside London. Council tax, £160. Energy, still sitting well above where it was a few years ago, £145 a month for a typical household. Water, £35. Broadband and a phone contract, £55. Add that up, and before groceries, before transport, before a single coffee, before you have made one active decision about your own spending, you're down another 1,345 pounds. Combine that with the 780 pounds that left before you even touched it, and the total committed against your 3,250 pounds gross salary comes to 2,125 pounds. That is 65% of everything you earned that month gone on things over which you had almost no real choice. 6 pounds out of every 10, exactly the number nobody sits down to calculate. Right there in black and white on an ordinary payslip. Stretch that across a year, and the number stops feeling abstract. 2,125 pounds a month is 25,500 pounds a year, out of a 39,000 pound salary, committed before a single discretionary pound is spent. That leaves 13,500 pounds to cover everything else a life actually requires. Food, clothes, petrol or a bus pass, a birthday present for your niece, a pint on a Friday, a holiday if there's anything left by the time one comes around. 13,500 pounds to fund an entire year of actually living, once the 60% has already walked out the door. And remember, this is the tidy version. This is one person, one salary, no dependents, no debt repayments, no car finance, no childcare. Add a single child into that household, and the childcare bill alone can rival the rent. Add a car on PCP, and there's another few £100 a month committed before you've bought a single pint of milk. The 60% figure we calculated is, if anything, the floor, not the ceiling. For a huge number of households across Britain, the real number is higher still. And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. None of this required a single bad decision. No takeaways were ordered. No subscriptions went unwatched. No impulse buys, no late-night online shopping, no designer trainers. This is simply the baseline cost of existing in Britain on a median salary, before your actual life even begins, before the food shop, before the birthday present, before the pint with your mates on a Friday. You would assume that earning more simply fixes this. It doesn't, not cleanly, and this is the twist almost nobody sees coming. Push past 100,000 pounds and something strange happens to the maths. For every 2 pounds you earn above that line, you lose 1 pound of your tax-free personal allowance, all the way until 125,140 pounds, where the allowance disappears completely. That entire stretch of income is effectively taxed at 60%. The exact same number, the exact same 60% we just calculated for the median earner, just wearing a different disguise, showing up on a completely different pay slip at a completely different income. Britain doesn't let you outrun this number by earning more. It simply moves the leak somewhere else and hides it behind a bigger salary so you feel it less, even as it takes the same share. So if the maths is quietly rigged before you even start spending, where is the actual leverage? Where is the part of this equation you can genuinely move? It's not in your salary, not really, not without a complete change of career. It's in the handful of numbers on that list that are not fixed by law or by lease. Council tax is fixed by your band and your council. The personal allowance is fixed by the Treasury. But energy suppliers can be compared and switched. Broadband and phone contracts can be renegotiated the exact day they quietly roll onto a much higher rate. And your pension contribution, strange as it sounds given everything we've just walked through, is actually the one leak on this entire list that is working for you rather than against you, because that 5% isn't lost at all. It's yours, just delayed, invested, and quietly compounding somewhere you can't see it yet. The real shift here isn't earning more, and it isn't cutting out every small joy in your life either. It's understanding that most of your income was never genuinely discretionary in the first place, and letting go of the quiet guilt that creeps in when the number in your account never seems to stretch as far as it should. It was never going to stretch that far. 60% of it was already spoken for before you'd had a single say in the matter. So the next time you're at that dinner party and someone reacts to your salary like it should feel like more than it does, you'll know exactly why it never quite does. It isn't you. It isn't your spending habits. It's the arithmetic, quietly running in the background of every single pay slip in the country, taking its 6 pounds in every 10 before you ever get the chance to choose. Know the number, and the shame that comes with it starts to disappear. 60%. The share that was genuinely never yours to spend. And the remaining slice, whatever is actually left after the tax, the pension, the rent, and the bills, that is the only part of your financial life you actually control. That's where the real decisions live. That's where your actual choices begin. If you learned something from this video, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.